Happy Tuesday and welcome back to the Wolff Den presented by Win Again Academy. I'm Matt Wolff, founder and CEO of Ticket Time Machine. We got a special nighttime edition of the Wolff Den as we introduce Patrick Powell and welcome him. How's everything going, Patrick?
Good. How's it going?
Yeah, glad to have you on here. We had a couple of people that you know on here as well, but for the people in the audience who don't know who you are, let's give a quick introduction and then we'll get into everything.
Oh yeah, sure. Appreciate you having me on the show. I'm the admin and creator of Booger's Ticket Stubs Facebook group. Been around for 5-6 years now. Basically started it from when my father passed about 6 or so years ago, and his nickname in the Air Force was Booger, so that's where the name came from. So we would collect and talk about sports all the time, mainly baseball, collecting autographs, collectibles, baseball cards, and on occasion tickets. And we would talk about, save tickets from games we went to, but then talk about historical tickets related to, different games in history that were important. And so he would pick up some and I would pick up some and we talk about it. So I saw there wasn't really a group on Facebook dedicated to tickets. And I knew there were so many collectors out there that were really big on tickets, whether it was vintage or current times. So that's why I came up with the idea to start the group, and it's been great.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It really is it's crazy. That's the only way I can describe it to people who don't collect, I guess. But even, someone like me who collects and we'll get into all of this, I'm a much different collector than the average person on Booger Stubs. But how did your dad get the nickname Booger? I heard I was listening to the Jason Bateman podcast, and they had Hootie, Darius Rucker on, and he was like, Hootie was kind of just a joke. They were in college, and someone's, called him Hootie, said, call me Hootie, and then it kind of stuck. How did your dad get the nickname Booger?
It was actually from the Revenge of the Nerds character. So it wasn't necessarily that he looked like him or that he acted like him. It was just like a lot of his buddies, in the military, you throw around nicknames for all different reasons. So somehow that one got stuck for him from the movie.
Yeah, I got a lot of nicknames growing up. But Booger is Booger from Revenge of the Nerds is one of the great characters. I would play a Revenge of the Nerd for Halloween many years. So love that story, Booger. It's a great nickname. Great that you carry on the tradition and named it after him. He had passed before you started the group, you said, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And with you, when you guys are talking about, collectibles and memorabilia and tickets, is that something that he had done, while he was growing up, or was it something that he kind of started as he introduced you to the sports world?
It really all started with baseball cards. When he was a kid, he used to have some, and he would put, the historical story of putting cards in the bicycle spoke. He used to do that. And then when I was a young teenager in the early 90s, I was starting to pick up on baseball card collecting, and it kind of got him back into it. And then he went full blown and got really into it for a few years with me. And then I eventually, we both grew apart from baseball cards and started to get more into autographs. And that's when he started.
You and everyone else, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then it spiraled into him thinking about players he grew up with. He was a big Cincinnati Reds, Johnny Bench, big Red Machine fan back in the day. So he was like, oh, I should get some of his autographs. And then it spiraled into Mickey Mantle and other things and just carried on from there.
Quick side note, I was at the Brad Paisley concert, must have been 2 weeks ago now, Saturday night down in West Palm at the amphitheater. And at the end of the show, he brings on Johnny Bench onto the stage, and Bench gives a few words. He kind of, I don't know what that noise is. I guess he kind of lives in the area and was a big fan, so it was kind of cool to see Johnny Bench in there. 2 questions for you. What kind of cards did your dad have, and do you have them still? when he was growing up?
I mean, he had like Mickey Mantle and different cards, and I don't think any of the cards. I don't think he saved any of those. I think he had went back to his parents years later, and they were either beat up to shreds, or I think his parents may have threw them away at that point. So even if they were there, they were all creased up from being in bicycle spokes. But yeah, when he passed, I of course got his collection, and he's got just a handful of Mickey Mantle cards that I'm looking to eventually get graded. And I'll say one card that really meant a lot to him was a more modern card. I forgot which year Topps did it, but it was an SSP rare card which had Dusty Baker when he was the coach of the Reds alongside the Bat Boy, the kid with Down syndrome, who's really famous. And so he saw the story, I think, on ESPN, and it really like brought a tear to his eye. So he had to have that card, and I have it now, and I've been wanting to get it, just graded and slabbed up just to have for, it stay for a while.
Was it an expensive card for him to get?
At the time, it was going for about $100 because it was just a rare. I haven't looked it up recently, but I know it's a pretty rare SSP card. So,
but I maybe I'm wrong. I assume that's something you would never get rid of.
No, I would just get it, graded and slabbed so that it would be preserved, basically.
Yeah.
But I remember him telling me the story of why he liked that card, so that's why it means more to me.
Yeah, and so we'll talk a little bit about, when we talk about Booger stubs, I guess try and explain it a little deeper for the people who are watching, because card collecting was a huge thing. Everyone knows it. Probably everyone who followed sports collected cards. Ticketing is a little bit different, and but the group of people that are on Boogers is, it's all over the map, the types of collectors and fans that are on there. So give a little bit of a deeper insight into Booger stubs and who's on there and what they're doing.
Yeah, sure. In general, ticket collecting of any sort, whether it's sports, movies, events, is very a niche market. It's very niche. So like you said, there's a wide variety of reasons and things that people collect in the ticket world. Everything from the basic, I kept every ticket from every game I went to or movie or event or what have you. And that means a lot to me, to I want a ticket from historical games, whether it was a walk-off homer or a game-winning shot or something, or if it's just like their favorite team or favorite player. Some people collect all tickets of a certain player or a certain player stat, like every Bryce Harper home run, maybe. Or you have some even more granular collections, like I want a ticket from the day I got married or my kid was born, or tickets that have a picture of their favorite player on it, even though that pitcher or player, may not even have played that game.
All right.
There's just so many different things. It's really hard. And that's what actually makes it really hard on the selling side, is that if you just have a huge inventory of tickets, it's really hard to sell them all because there's so many games that weren't meaningful from like a statistical standpoint. But there may be someone out there that game meant something to them. So there's just a wide variety, like you said, of different types of ticket collecting.
Yeah, I always say you just never know what's going to be a meaningful memory for someone. There's all kinds of reasons. Think about the card that, you talk about with your dad and Dusty Baker. No offense to Dusty Baker, but there's millions of other cards that are really, probably more important or more wanted. I guess I'll say wanted, not important. That's all. More wanted. Important is very subjective. And that's the whole thing. The beauty of Booger stubs is it's all really subjective. There's obviously a value of these tickets because there's a value of anything. But it's only worth what someone will pay for it. And some people are willing to pay a lot of money for things that you would think doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then you can get, someone sent me a Josh Beckett no-hitter ticket. He just mailed it to me. No charge. And I came into some tickets through my father-in-law. And I tried to put some up for sale, and there wasn't much luck because it seems like a lot of people already have it. And then someone was asking me for, an obscure spring training ticket. And short of it being worth any money, I was like, all right, I'm just going to send it to you. It's like, it's not worth it for me to charge you $3 and you Venmo me $3. It's like, but there are a lot of people, and I don't fault anyone for doing it, because if you have enough tickets that you sell for $3, it becomes something, right? So I don't fault them for that. But there's such a wide range of the ticket collectors there. And I had reached out to the Athletic I said, look, I think there's an article about, there's a story with things going digital. And it told him about Booger Stubbs, and he was fascinated. And that was the cornerstone of the story. You spoke with him. I feel like I would have picked better quotes that I said to put in the article. But I thought it was a well done article to express Booger Stubbs and kind of what it is. And one of my things that I said in there was, what is a ticket? The definition of a ticket, it means it's different to a lot of people. It was back then. It will be now moving forward because of COVID. And so there's so many differing opinions. At the end of the day, if someone deems it not official and they're not willing to pay for it, and that's what the market says, then that's kind of what it is. But where do you stand on tickets and collecting for your personal collection?
As far as, what do you mean?
Well, with the digital tickets going on, are you still a collector? Are you a buyer? Are you a seller? Are you just kind of moderating at this point, watching the stories?
Yeah, I mean, I've changed a lot. I used to collect a lot of modern stuff. Like, basically, there's a few players that I were collecting every home run, or I pick up some debut tickets, or maybe it was a player who hit a cycle in the game. But then, like, with the rise of digital tickets, it's become harder to keep up with that. And that's where, as you said, you'll see people offer a big amount of money for something that is not necessarily a huge, important game, but it's a home run for a player that was a ticket that's very hard to get for that team. So if anyone had a box office ticket or something, they're willing to pay $100 or more for it to get their collection, fill that gap.
They're all hard to get today.
Yeah, at this point, every team is hard to get. So, and that's across all sports. So I've mainly stopped all those collections. I've started to kind of sell some of them off. To give an example, I did collect Ohtani, his rookie season, 2018. I got it in my mind, like, I was able to pick up his debut for a reasonable price. And so from that day forward, I decided I'm going to get every single game that he had a offensive stat in for his rookie season. And it was a challenge. There were teams like, in 2018, there were plenty of teams still with tickets, but teams like the Rays, the Indians, the White Sox, the Dodgers were really hard to get. And there was a few in there that I needed for it. And I had some help and had to do a lot of searching, but I was able to find those. And I had ended up with almost 80 games worth of tickets that season that he had a hit RBI or something in. I just sold it 2 weeks ago for $3,000.
The whole collection.
Yeah, because he's so hot right now.
Yeah.
It was just insane. But
did you make a promise? You don't need to give me particular, but did you spend more than that to get the tickets?
No, not at all. I mean, the debut, I might have spent $100, and now the debut's $500, $800. People are putting it up for ridiculous.
Yeah.
It would have been hard for me to separate the whole thing because not every game means something to everyone. But as a package deal,
yeah,
it's a good thing. But now I've more or less dwindled my collection down to I have two things. One is I like to pick up vintage on occasion. Not really anything specific. I was doing Maris 61 homers for a little while. I've kind of sold those off, but more recently, or more modernly, I should say, I do like to collect postseason walk-offs games. And then I like to send it off to the player who hit the walk-off and get it signed with an inscription if I can. So it could be the hit, homer. One of them was that year that Colton Wong was picked off at first to end the game, a walk-off pickoff. So just lots of different things. And I'll even collect the vintage tickets too. There were walk-offs. Like I have Bill Mazeroski's Game 7 walk-off homer, and I got him to sign it and inscribe it. That's one of my favorite ones.
How do you facilitate getting a sign? Because I see a lot of people with signatures on these tickets, assuming the majority of them weren't obtained at the game.
Yeah. All of them are by, in most cases, private signings, some cases public signings, but you'll see those posted across different Facebook groups for collectibles, and then you'll just send it off, pay the fee, and get it back when they're signed. So it's a good thing.
What's a signature worth these days? Obviously depends on who, but like the hot players.
Yeah, it depends on who, because even Hall of Famers can be dirt cheap because they sign so much.
Yeah.
But if you have some of the current players can be really expensive because their time is very limited.
Yeah.
And plus they're hot and popular, so they're going to charge that. And they're not going to sign as much. So, I mean, Trout signs a ton, but he continues to be so great in the game that his signature prices stay high. But someone like even like Tatis or Scherzer, those guys don't sign that often. So when they do, the prices are typically over $100 easy.
Yeah, we saw today. I just saw Tatis's. There was like a Tatis ticket, like some milestone, maybe 50 home runs or 50 steals.
Oh yeah.
Like $100. I was like, that's worth $100. But I mean, I guess it's all speculation, right? I mean, you're paying $100 because you think it's going to be worth.
Yeah, that's typically what it is. And that's the same with some players that people decide to collect every homer. If they're a really young guy like Soto or Harper and Trout, they start in the league so young and they're home run hitters that you're thinking these guys are going to hit 500 plus homers in their career. I'm going to bank on that and just collect every homer.
Yeah.
But now everybody's collection's just up in the air because of digital. So
let's talk about that. We had Andrew Goldberg on the Wolff Den. He just had an article written about him in the New York Times. He collects Michael Jordan tickets, has a great deal of them. Lucky for him, Michael Jordan's no longer playing. He doesn't have to worry about that, but he's got his work cut out for him because they're rare tickets, they're expensive tickets, and I don't know. I wouldn't bet against him to have it finished, but it could cost more than it's worth to him, which would be unfortunate. But I'm rooting for him. And then the David Wright collector, right, has like 90-something%. Is that he's a member of Booger Stubs?
Yeah, of every game David Wright's played in.
Yeah, which is crazy because it's like 5 times as many games as Jordan, right, or something, 3 times. Yeah. It's a lot more. So what do you do if you're a collector? And that was one of the things I posted on because the people are very adamant about, well, that's not a ticket. That didn't get you in. And this one says, it was printed after the fact. And the Reds did a ticket that, put a stamp on the back. And I've printed tickets for people on Booger Stubs, just, people like Emily, who is a great collector and has a great collection. And, it's kind of just like, hey, I got something that it's right now it's a placeholder, and who knows, when Ticket Time Machine is operating how we want to, I think we'll be able to replicate tickets, have an official logo and maybe even have an official major league, but it's still not going to be the ticket. But at this time, no one has anything that is got people into a game, 1%. So what does that mean? I mean, is it the best we can do? Does the hobby die? What's your feeling on the majority of people who are collectors on Booger Stubs?
Yeah, I feel like it is a death to the hobby. I feel like, myself included, I'm not really a fan of tickets that are not the actual ticket that you could get into a game, whether it's, a box office or not. And there's some teams that they do souvenir style tickets that look really nice, but of course they're not, tickets you use to get into the game. So then a lot of people shy away from them, but some people do buy them because they still are from the team and they look really nice, but they typically only do those for specific games, like if someone pitched a no-hitter or something like that. So there's going to be a lot of games missing that no one's doing souvenir tickets for.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and a lot of these teams, they don't want to spend the money to even do souvenir tickets for every game. And that's another point too, is we've had people in the group mention that they've reached out to various teams and said, you know, I'm willing to pay to have a legit ticket printed. Why won't you just take my money? And that's, you know, a big discussion, because they have the machines and the capability already. It doesn't take much time or effort. So
that's a whole
thing.
nother conversation. But I do remember, and we won't name any names, but a prominent member of Booger Subs wanted to buy a great deal of tickets and offered a lot of money, like a lot of money to buy an actual ticket. And they were going to buy tickets as admission to the game and say, look, just print them and we're not going to use them. You don't even have to send it to me after the game. And they said no. And it was crazy to me, their reasoning, I think, is kind of short-sighted, and it's more of perception than reality. But at the end of the day, they hold the keys to that. And we're going to get permission, and we're going to get to the point where we can print something that is going to be quality enough that a collector is going to want to do. I don't know if it's going to make sense for someone who wants to collect every Ohtani home run to do. Maybe, maybe not. That's for them to decide. Right. But there's so many different things out there. I mean, you could say even just to collect a digital ticket from someone is not an easy thing to do. You got to find people who have it, especially if you're not out there. Yeah, they can make you a custom jersey at the Yankees too. I mean, don't even get me started on the Yankees. They were doing custom jerseys there, and they won't even sell you. They won't even sell you a printed ticket. Forget about printing you a ticket. They told me to go outside and get a stranger's phone to buy a ticket. I'm like, are you nuts?
Yeah, it's too much. And the constant struggle now is there's some teams that will print box office if you're able to figure out what their rules are, whether it's showing your phone or claiming you don't have a phone to show your digital. Some people will still turn you away. It's just insane. But it's funny how the industry has switched, because before the argument was always, do I collect the season ticket or the box office ticket? Now we're forced to just take whatever we can get, which is only box office in most cases or nothing.
Well, I tell you what, I have a background in ticketing, and I am partial to the box office ticket over the season ticket. And it's partly because I know the process that goes through it. I mean, box office tickets are on thermal paper. Not anyone can produce a thermal ticket, but anyone can produce, for the most part, a season ticket. It's not really that hard. Every single print shop you go to can print you a season ticket sheet. You could probably get them to print something for you, depending on who it is. Some people would tell you don't have the copyright for it, but some people would probably print. If you were looking for a souvenir type thing and you wanted to print something, almost any of these print shops can perf. It's not a big deal. It's just a matter of taking like a pizza cutter and perfing, although that's not generally how it's done, but you can take a ticket and do that. You're a bigger fan of the season ticket than the box office?
Yeah. If it's available, I'd rather have the season, because they change up the design every year. And, I'm a fan of art and graphic design in general. So those tickets tend to look a lot better. Yeah,
I think that's a good point. I mean, although you can make an argument, this is a box office ticket and that looks pretty good. So it's kind of, it just depends on what they're doing, which is, back in the day, and even maybe before, Ticketmaster would give the teams tickets if they wanted for free. And if they wanted a design on it, then they'd have to pay for it. And when you're ordering like 500,000 tickets, the cost of doing 4-color process or like 3 spot colors, it's negligible. So I'm not really sure why a lot of teams only do, like real plain tickets. But Ticket Time Machine has some generics coming in, and we had printed some for Booger Stubs that kind of looked like a Ticketmaster ticket. I thought I should have had one here. Here, oh, no. Anyway, I thought I had one here, and then we had, but now we're going to have 4-color and foil. So it's a commemorative ticket. It's souvenir, but it's going to be a really nice looking souvenir, and you can customize and personalize it. So excited to have that. I think there'll be people on the site that would be happy to use that. Again, it's like, okay, I understand that this is not exactly what you want, and you might not think it's authentic, but I mean, you spend X amount of years collecting things. Are you just going to stop? Is that it? And as you said, I'm going to try and sell it, but if I don't have a whole collection, what is this really worth to someone?
Yeah. And that's what I've seen with some of the collections I've had that I've been selling recently is there anyone out there who's willing to take it on, or just take it as it is and hold on to it, or take it and try to add on to it? So, I mean, because I was doing Harper home runs for a while, Miggy Beltre, really pissed he didn't get 500. And Miggy, I was holding out because he's getting closer and closer. Then I thought he was about to retire, and then early, and now he's
bad,
still,
and then he was killing it. Is like a
he's almost there too. He'll probably get it by next season if he's still playing. But
he was one of my favorite players when he was on the Marlins, and I root for him also. I thought it was great that he got the Triple Crown. I thought that was awesome.
His debut is actually one of those rarer tickets because it was a very less attended game. Like under 10,000, 8,000 people were there or something. So it's a tough ticket to find.
Yeah, so scarcity is obviously a big thing, and that goes with cards too. And as you look back at some of the older stuff, you realize, people don't have a lot of it. Even if there were 20,000 people at a game, if it's 40 years old, how many people are actually collecting? Less people collecting tickets than cards, and people were throwing this stuff away all the time. Now you have an interesting dynamic because there was reduced capacity at games and very few printed tickets, when people are getting them, but they are out there. I find it weird. In the card, you get it graded. I understand. I like a ticket that has some character to it. It's weird for me to see a 30-year-old ticket in pristine condition. But that's, if you're a collector and you're looking at value and you're going to get it graded, that's what you want. What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, I mean, it varies across the industry. I mean, some people like to get tickets graded just to have it in that nice slabbed plastic holder, and then it's untouchable at that point. And I like that. I don't necessarily care about the grading or the grading number it gets. But there are collectors out there, particularly when you're talking about really vintage, like early 1900s and things like that. If you're finding tickets in really good condition, getting those graded are going to exponentially increase the value. Whereas something more modern, it really would be less popular to get graded. I mean, of course, Mike Trout's debut and first hit, that's one I've seen people get graded a lot. But some no-hitters that have happened recently, maybe not, because those players still have yet to prove themselves. And lots of no-hitters get thrown all the time. So unless it's someone like Nolan Ryan's no-hitters, it's not really as worth getting graded. So you'll get varying opinions on that. Everyone is. It's the same way with getting tickets signed. Some people like that. Some people don't want any writing on it at all. So you always have a varying.
No-hitters are out of control this year. There were two into the 8th inning or 9th inning the other night, wasn't there?
Who's that?
There were two no-hitters into the 9th inning.
Oh, yeah.
The other day. Then he ended up giving up a home run. I think he lost the game or got taken out. And then he didn't get a win that game, but pitched a gem.
Yeah.
I forget who it was. Speaking of no-hitters, that's how Ticket Time Machine started. I was at an Ensign Volquez no-hitter, which is a top 5 sports moment for me. Non-Gator championship, of course. Have you ever seen a no-hitter?
No. Actually, the closest I came was, I think, I actually had the ticket to go to a 20 strikeout game for Scherzer.
Okay.
And something happened. I didn't go. And then I found out later that night he threw 20 Ks. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah. But you had the ticket, which is worth money.
Yeah. I would say, though, on that same subject, probably the most historical game that I've attended was when Pujols was chasing 500 homers. He was coming to DC for a 3-game stretch, and he was at, I think, 497. And I said, I'm getting a ticket in the outfield for each game until he hits 500. And the first game, I think he hit 1. And then the next game, he hit 499. And I have a screenshot where it actually landed to the row next to me. And then I was getting ice cream, and he hit 500 to like another section to the right of me, like further away. But it was just cool to be there, not only have the ticket, but just be there. And I was on Sports Center. I saw myself stand up and look over, just pissed off because it was not near me.
Did you hear about the guy who catches foul balls? I forget his name.
Yeah, Josh Hampel. I actually met him. He came to the All-Star game in D.C. a couple years ago. Got a picture with him. I can't remember if he got any balls that day.
I reached out to him. I think he'd be a great guest. I mean, that's an incredible thing that he's doing. He's caught like 70 foul balls or something like that.
Yeah, he's caught so many homers too, and he gives a lot of them to kids.
I meant balls, home runs, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and he'll give a lot of balls to kids, whether it's fouls or homers, and some of the bigger ones he's gotten, he'll get money for charity. So it's a love-hate relationship you'll see when people talk about him. Some people don't like him.
You see the picture of someone catching it and giving it to a kid. I mean, it's a good story. I have a story related to that, but I wanted to ask you, you bought a ticket for a game you were never going to attend because it was going to be worth something, and back in the day, they'll mail it to you. Is that what you were talking about with Pujols?
No, I was going to go to the game.
Okay.
And make sure I was there because I was trying to catch the ball. I didn't even care about the ticket at that time. I was trying to catch the ball. I was thinking, what am I going to do if I catch 500? And people were asking that all week in the local news.
Yeah.
And the guy who caught it was military, and he just wanted to meet him. And I think Pujols may have gave him a signed bat or something, but
that's pretty cool.
I don't think he asked for it. But it kind of it was interesting when the ball landed. It was right next to one guy near the front row and bounced like 5 rows back, and then the guy just stood up and caught it. So one guy just missed out.
I'm going to grab you something so I can tell my story. I should have had it. This happens all the time on the Wolff Den. That's just the way it goes here. So this is a ticket for the first ever game at the new Florida Gator baseball park.
Oh, okay.
And Ticket Time Machine actually did a nice commemorative pass for the weekend, the opening weekend. But I was able to get a ticket. So don't tell anybody because they were digital only for the most part. They were giving people a real ticket to the game. And I ended up catching the first home run and hit ever at the new ballpark. And it was it was awesome. I got a picture that's on my phone, which is just really cool. But the guy Nathan Hickey is the player for the Gators who did it, and his mom came up to me and asked me for the ball, and I was like, so by the way, here's a picture of me. This was a picture of the ball going out, me and my friend in the berm raising our hand because it's about to go out, and it lands right next to me. And it's just awesome. I mean, I'm such a huge fan, and I'm a memorabilia guy. And I said, look, I'm a memorabilia guy. I'm a collector. I'm not looking to sell this to make money. I want to keep this for my collection. It's one of the coolest things that I've ever done or gotten, you know. And I thought maybe I'll trade her. They were the number one team at the time. I said maybe I'll trade, you know, if you can get me the whole team to sign a ball. But I never, you know, for me, whatever she was going to get wasn't going to be worth it to me. I think this is it's one of my favorite memorabilia that I don't even think I'd ever sell. It's just a great story for me. And I really just, I just love it. So, you know, What's your favorite piece of memorabilia that you've gotten?
Just memorabilia in general?
Yeah, collectible memorabilia. It could be anything, really. I mean, Booger Stubbs is very baseball centric. It obviously appears that baseball is, probably your favorite sport. It sounds like, or what you concentrate most on. But it could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, from a ticket side, the Bill Mazeroski Game 7 walk-off homer that I had signed and inscribed is probably one of my favorites. But I mean, I have some baseballs like Roy Halladay with perfect game inscription, which that's a ticket collection that I've held on to all of Halladay's wins. And I definitely have over half, if not 3/4 of those homer or those wins. But I also have like Mickey Mantle with Hall of Fame inscription, which is harder to find. A Yankees team ball with Munson on it. I think the rarest ball I have though is it's a Puerto Rican League ball from back in the day, signed by Clemente and Munson, which is insane.
My dad gave me baseballs that he had. I think they're the full Dodgers team, and maybe it was an all-star game, but there's so many good players. Jackie Robinson's on 2 of them, Pee Wee Reese. But actually, by having all these other people on there, it takes away the value of it, right? If I just had a Jackie Robinson sign ball, it doesn't really matter. It's like your Dusty Baker. I would never sell it short of someone giving me life-changing money, which no one's going to do anyway. Like you could offer me a couple $1,000s. You're just not. It's not worth it to you.
And some of those
people don't understand these things that mean something, and it's so they really with you and your dad, and that's something with me and my dad who I lost back in 2005. But you really just don't know what's going to be in memory. It could be the day your child was born, and people collect for all kinds of things, and that's the beauty of Booger Stubbs, and the community is great. I mean, people sent me something when I asked, I send it to them. They're always looking out for each other. Very little arguing, although there's some bickering back and forth, and there's definitely some people on there who feel like they're more knowledgeable, or but that's with any group. I would say from the groups I've seen, it's a very well behaved group, which is tough on the internet, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's, I have an admin team of 5 people. We're all work great together, and I pick them because each person has such a broad knowledge of various tickets across different sports and events. And they were all very highly engaged in the group and bring tons of knowledge. And there's tons of people in the group that have tons of knowledge across all different aspects of ticket collecting. It's just been great for, everyone to get involved and learn is the biggest thing. Like, so many people learning more about, especially on the vintage ticket side, you have people asking questions about dates. Sometimes the only way you can find out what game that went to was finding out what was the tax charged on that for that game, or the price of the ticket, and things like that. So it's really interesting.
A lot of great research. A lot of stuff's not easy to find. And I was even just going through stuff. You got to go through every game and kind of be like, all right, what happened here? Did someone hit a home run? Was it someone's debut? Which is not, unless it's a huge big time player like, Franco the other day, there's not always a lot of fanfare for someone's debut. And a lot of times it could be like the third game of the season. Brent, a friend of the show, has a Barry Sanders signed football. That's a pretty good one.
Oh, nice.
One of the greats. Love Barry Sanders. You're a Nats fan. Let's talk a little bit of baseball. You're a Nats fan. Some big news day for the Nats. Strasburg shelved for the rest of the season. Scherzer maybe getting traded. There's some rumors you mentioned about Trey Turner being pulled. Is he going to be traded? What are your thoughts on baseball this season, the way they went through COVID, and just baseball in general, the state of baseball?
Yeah, I think last year was insane. I mean, I'm one of those people that, I don't really count that the Dodgers won the World Series. I mean, I get it, but it's just a short season. And I mean, if you think back to the strike of, I think it was 94, when the Expos were tops in the league and the whole thing got canceled. you can kind of relate it to that. Although on the flip side, this time it was like the whole season got played, like basically half a season. I don't know. I think this season has been much better. Ratings have been up. It's been a lot fun to watch. Yeah, on the Nats side, though, it's sad. I mean, I'm a converted Nats fan from the Braves growing up, living all over the country. My dad was military, of course. So catching them on TBS, it was easy to be a 90s Braves fan with Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox and Chipper Jones and all that. But once I moved to the DC area a few years back, I couldn't stay with the Braves anymore and converted to the Nats in 2019. First time ever I was rooting for a team that actually won it all. So it's been great. But yeah, I think the early news on Trey Turner is that he has COVID, and that's why they pulled him. So that could actually, I don't know if that'll really affect him being traded or not, though, because as long as
or something.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if he was vaccinated or not and all that. So, I mean, as long as he doesn't have any vital crazy symptoms, he's probably gone. Schwarber's probably gone. Scherzer's probably gone. I think Patrick Corbin's gone. That's just a prediction across all the fan pages I'm reading too. Is you think about Waterboy and Rob Schneider saying, "Oh no, we suck again." That's the kind of the feeling across Nats Nation now.
You won a title, so you got to cherish it. Do you have any memorabilia or collectibles from the Nats championship season?
No. I was able to. So I had season tickets for the one only time in my life when the All-Star game came to DC in 2018. But I go figure, I didn't renew, and then they went to the World Series the next year. But I did go to one game, but that was probably the worst World Series to go to as a home fan because every road team won. And so it was like I would have had to travel to see the Nats win a game. But it was like unforgettable experience to be at a World Series game. Almost went to a second one because ticket prices started to drop. But yeah, it was a great experience. I'll say the only memorabilia I have from a game I went to was actually a year after that Pujols 500 game. I don't know why I waited so long, but I contacted the Nats Stadium to see what memorabilia they had from that game, and obviously all the equipment and bases and everything from 500 homer it's in the Hall of Fame. But I was able to pick up a foul ball just to have from the game, but they also had first base from the beginning of the first 3 innings when he hit 499. And I was able to pick that up. So I got that sitting here in the
very
cave.
Cool. We went to all the Marlins playoffs games in 2003, including all the World Series games when they beat the Yankees. And
oh, nice.
You could get a ticket for $10. I had tickets. Someone was selling for $10, and I bought 2 tickets because I'm like, I'll be able to sell them. Maybe I'll sell them for $20 and get myself a beer. And I had trouble getting rid of the $10 tickets that I bought before I walked into the game. It was crazy, but what a great environment. Obviously, they clinched in New York, so it didn't happen while I was there. But just a great atmosphere. And I always buy the championship stuff for my teams. Like I have the Sports Illustrateds and hats and shirts. And I was just showing my wife my Gator hats for national championships, and I'm like, man, these hats are ugly. I would never wear these hats. It's just kind of like I keep them, and you just keep them around, and it's part of your collection. But how about apparel? You got a hat. Do you have anything that means something to you from an apparel point of view?
Not really. I mean, I have probably 8 different Nats hats, just from whether it's 4th of July design or the All-Star game had multiple different design hats, World Series hat. That's really it. Nothing too special.
Well, we forgot to talk about this is not your day job. You actually have a full-time job that you do, and this is kind of something you do on the side. So last thing we'll talk about, Boogers, is there any plans to monetize this? Has that ever been in discussions? And what's the future of Booger Stubs?
No, there's not any plans to monetize. I've seen some other sports collectible groups try to do that, and it's hit with tons of negativity, but that's never been my intention to monetize any of it. It's just a place for everyone to gather and not only, buy and sell in a safe place with other people that are ticket collectors and save fees from other systems like eBay, but also just to share knowledge and experiences. Like, it's great to hear reasons why people collect tickets and hearing those stories. Even one of our admins, Guy, he loves to tell stories when he's selling tickets. Like, I have this ticket from, he says like this crazy story, and then you're thinking this is going to be an expensive ticket. And at the bottom, it's like $2 plus shipping.
$2
oh,
PWE. PWE.
Right.
I don't even know what these things mean. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but
Now
no plans to monetize. It's just a good place. I think there's been some websites out there that have some forums and message boards with ticket collectors. But some of those people have found out about us and kind of come in and centralized everything. So it's been great.
Yeah. What's the craziest thing you've seen sell on there? Like the weirdest, I guess. And then what's the most expensive ticket that you think was sold on your site?
That's tough to say. I know one of our admins had one World Series ticket from every single World Series, like every single one, and he put it up for auction. I forgot which site a while back. That was probably the craziest collection I've seen. Not to mention, Goldberg and all his Jordan tickets, and then obviously some of the David Wright collection. And there's a guy who collects every Pete Rose hit. Those are crazy, but as far as sold, I couldn't tell you, to be honest. There's such a wide variety. I mean, there's people who say, I'll give you 200 tickets for like Juan Carlos Stanton's like number, 96th homer, just because it was a hard ticket to find. So,
yeah, it's weird. Some of the I saw today was the Bo Jackson debut, which I thought was awesome. I didn't collect tickets back then. I mean, I probably did, but then I lost them. Same with some of my cards. I have a lot of my old cards, but I probably have a ton of tickets, but not stuff like that. And I never bought. It wouldn't even occur to me to buy. If I was going to buy one ticket just to have, it would be. I saw Rovell has the Ferris Bueller ticket. I just think that's cool. I would love to have a Ferris Bueller ticket for me, or something that was a movie. I'd love to get to the Field of Dreams game that's coming up. I've tried to talk to them about doing something for that game because I think there's a lot of opportunity there. What's one ticket that you would have if you would get if money wasn't an object?
I would say some of the early Hall of Famers debut tickets would just be really cool. Babe Ruth, Cobb, even later on Jackie Robinson, and even Mantle debut. I mean, those barely pop up ever, and it's astronomical pricing. So, I mean, it's rare.
Do you think that it's just people don't know where it is, or they're just all gone? I mean, what with the scarcity of it, are they out there somewhere, or do people just think, look, they're nowhere, they've been ripped up, they've been thrown out, there's nothing out there?
Yeah, I believe that most of them are just trashed. They were trashed years ago. No one really kept on to them. But I'm also the believer that there's collectibles in everybody's basement. I mean, you could go to a big sports town and hit up every old person that's lived in their home for years, and I bet you they got something in an album or something somewhere that they saved.
Yeah, people are more aware of this stuff. Like you see the Gary V's of the world going to the garage sales, and even when I go to an outdoor auction, people know that they're wondering like, why do you want this? And but some things you can get for real cheap. So it's an interesting time. We'll see what happens because tickets are a hot item right now, the same way the cards were a hot item. That could change. Also, the digital could make it, but I think you guys got enough traction to be around for a long time, and excited to be a member of it. It's been fun. It's been interesting. It's just cool to watch. I get probably most of my feed is just Booger Stub stuff. It feels like there's so much action in there, which is a pretty cool thing to see. It must be really cool for you, and I bet your dad would be thrilled that this is something all in memory of him. Do you have a memory of your dad in sports that really comes to mind, and that maybe propelled you into being this sports fan?
Well, I mean, we always like to watch games together on TV, but we never really got to go to games, especially living around the world at the time. And I think about 3 years in, we would go back to the U.S. I'm originally from Indiana, Hoosier born, and it was when you lived in Indiana, you were either a Reds fan or you were a Chicago team fan. It was like you split between one of them. So he was a Reds fan, but we went back to visit family one summer, and he planned a day trip, and we saw a Cubs day game and a White Sox night game in the same day. And I got to see Frank Thomas hit a homer, and like just that day was memorable. I still have the programs and the tickets from those games. That's
Awesome.
probably the best memory.
Great. I love that. How about your job? You're involved in a startup. What's your background from a professional point of view?
Oh yeah, so actually I've been working in finance for about 16 years. I'm now this Friday is my last day in that entire industry. I've been working with a startup on the side for the past 2 years called GoodFind, GoodFynd, and we're a food truck platform. So we work with food trucks to use our ordering system for online and walk-up orders, and then we work with neighborhoods and properties to source food trucks. So I'm going all in on the startup. Yep, that's it. Yeah.
GoodFind. Check it out. Goodfind.com. So all in on the startup. So it's an exciting time for you. Getting in. Being on the ground floor of something it's a pretty good thing. Hopefully that will take off. What do you estimate your ticket collection is worth if you were to sell everything today?
Not too much, because I've kind of gotten rid of a lot of stuff. I don't have anything too rare. I have a few oddball things that are just really cool. Like I have, if you heard the phrase "spawn insane, pray for rain," and that phrase was whenever Warren Spahn would pitch, the next starting pitcher was Johnny Sane, and they would always say, if they pitch, you hope for rain, otherwise you're going to lose. So I have a ticket from the game supposedly that the reporter came up with that phrase.
Okay.
And it kind of goes well because one of the things I got from my dad when he passed was a Spawn Insane signed framed picture.
Oh wow!
So it goes really well with that. So I have some oddball items, but nothing too crazy expensive on the ticket side.
I like when they grade and they put, Bo Jackson debut. Do they put something like that on a grade?
Yeah, you can label what you want them to put.
Okay, so they're kind of putting what you want them to, as long as it's legitimate.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of people like to do that too, because then you have the ticket, but it doesn't say on the ticket, obviously, what happened in that game. So when you slab it, you get that title.
And part of the thing for me is I can look at a ticket and I can kind of tell you what the story is. Like I don't need, and I get both sides of it, but I say I don't need you to slab this. I know it's when you're there, when it means something to you, you just kind of look at it and tell the story. I posted the Tebow promise game. Brent, I don't know if he's still on here, but he was at the game with me, and I still have the ticket stub where they lost. It was the only game they lost the whole year. And I always describe it as like, imagine you're at a horse race and your horse loses. You're going to rip it up. You're not going to keep it, but I happen to keep it. And the rest is history. They win the rest of the games. They win a national championship. And that's one of my favorite tickets of all. And it's a loss. So it's funny the way, for me, everything's a story. Whether it's a ticket, it could be a memorabilia, it could be a tchotchke, whatever it is, from events, all events that I've been to, a picture, I could tell you what was going on, who I was with. And that's the beauty of ticketing, I think. The difference between that and cards, although there's similarities because there's people looking at it as value and speculating, and it's kind of like the hunt, so to speak. Do you have cards? A lot of cards? Is it something you dabble in, or?
I got out of it for a while, and every now and then I like to rip open some packs, so I'll buy some stuff here and there. NBA cards are super hot right now.
Yeah, he was there at the game.
I would say right now, NBA cards seem to fluctuate more in value, more so than baseball. There was players during the playoffs and the finals just this past season that they would have a huge scoring game, and next thing you know, everyone's asking for, you got the rookie card of that guy, and he may have sucked the whole season, but
Yeah, it's crazy.
now it's hot. Now his cards are 20, 30, $40 more. So
I mean, I follow, and my friend's kid was at a show with me, and he was asking for this. I'm like, who the heck is that guy? He's paying like $100. Look at Doncic, who's going to be great, might be an all-time great for all I know. His card today is worth more than Hall of Famers cards.
oh yeah,
But it's all on speculation, and we might end up seeing people stuck with a lot of cards that they paid a lot of money for that's not worth anything. The same way I have a ton of cards that you would have thought would have been worth something. Justin says NFTs. You know much about them? I'm not I'm a physical guy. Do you own NFTs?
Yeah, I've gotten some here
Top
and there.
Shot?
Like I got Tops when they did the Godzilla NFTs just to test it out. I missed out on the baseball stuff, but I really am curious to see if anyone decides to do NFTs for the ticket side, because that would be legit. Because then you own, an NFT of a ticket, so that could be interesting. So I don't know if someone's going to look into that.
Yeah, they're NFTs for ticketing. Garbage Pail Kids are worth a lot of money.
Oh yeah, and they're still making them. They brought them back years ago, and now there's.
But the older ones are worth.
Older ones are where it's at. I used to
have
have
some of the newer ones. My friend and I actually sat down and started to create our own edition that we're gonna send in, and I don't remember whatever happened to that. But NFT tickets are coming. We're gonna do Ticket Time Machine's gonna do some physical tickets to go with some NFTs. We mix the digital and the physical, so it's here right now. It's a lot of speculation. I think there's gonna be a lot of people holding a lot of stuff that's not worth anything. It's hard to get. It's a rich man's game in a lot of ways right now. The same way cards are and some tickets are. So we'll see what happens. I think it's too early to tell what's going to go on with that. Give me your Mount Rushmore of baseball. Who's your four favorite baseball players of all time?
Oh man, that's tough. I mean, I'd have to put Mantle in there. Mantle, Ruth, Jackie Robinson, probably Gehrig.
Adam Baum is the best Garbage Pail Kid. I don't know if he's the best, but everyone I think remembers Adam Baum.
Oh yeah, and if you've been keeping up with Tops and the Project 70 cards, I was collecting last year with the Project 2020. And I started off in the beginning with some of the 70, and I can't keep up. I pretty much dropped off halfway through the 2022. It's just too expensive. But one of the artists recently just did an Atom Bomb version for a player.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of cool fan art. I love it. I met Michael Barnard, who is one of the Garbage Pail people, one of the artists there. He doesn't get into it as much anymore, but does some. Those were your favorite. Those are the best players in baseball. Do you have your four favorite athletes of any sport? Like, who are your favorite athletes, just for you personally, not necessarily the best in the world or at their position or sport?
Well, growing up, like I said, I was a Braves fan, so I was a fan of Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox, and Chipper Jones for a while. When I came to the DC area, in the beginning, at least, it was hard to root for them. They didn't really have any stars. And it took a while for them to really build up.
Right.
But a lot of young players. I like to watch new prospects. Like I'm keeping an eye on Wander Franco and the Rays. I think he'll be interesting to watch. But I'm a big fan of Juan Soto. I was a semi-fan of Harper when he was with DC. I mean, obviously the fans loved him, but he was too cocky for me, and he just showed his ass on his way out. So that was.
Yeah, he's kind of a guy, if he's not on your team, you're not going to be a fan of his, I think. One of those guys.
Yeah.
Give me a bucket list sporting event, something you haven't been to that you'd love to get to.
So, yeah, I did do World Series and All-Star Game. I would like to check out an NBA final game. Obviously, it depends on who's there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to do that one day.
All right. I hopefully you'll get it. I don't know. Beal and Westbrook might be on the way out, so I don't know if it's going to be with the Wizards. Brent would like to go to Wimbledon. That would be a great thing to do. My sister goes to the French Open. She's been to like 3 or 4 of them, and we'll probably go once things open up again out there. We'll let you out of here on the same question we let everyone go. We got a list brewing here. Give me one person who you would like to meet and spend a day with. It could be anyone in the world, as long as they're living and you're not related to them. We got a list going. We're making outreach. We've had some ridiculous names on there, but we've had some very attainable names. So give us a name and who it is and what would you like to do? Turn on for the WNBA Finals. 25th anniversary of the WNBA. Incredible.
Oh, wow. I don't know. That's tough. Off the top of my head, I don't know. Maybe Obama. Shoot some hoops with Obama. I think that would be fun.
Our last guest said Obama. He's the number one. I have to go through the list, but I'm pretty sure he's the number one. He's definitely in the top of mine. Shooting hoops with him I just keep saying, like, he just, him and his lefty hits that 3 and just walks off and says that's how we do it. It's
right.
It's just something that's also. He's going to go on the list. Shooting some hoops with Obama. Brent wants to go fishing with Forge W. We don't know who that is. I think he's had a little bit too much to drink tonight. We don't know, but we'll have to ask him who Forge is. Plus, you have to be a guest to get it happen, and I don't know Forge, but I'll see if we can make it happen. If you come on as a guest of the Wolff Den, Brent. But Patrick, I say it on behalf of a lot of people who are ticket collectors. What you did and started was amazing. It's very cool, and the job that you've done to expand it to what it is today. It's you're getting stories are written in the New York Times and the Athletic, and without you, these stories aren't happening. So kudos to you. Excited.
I appreciate it.
I'm glad that I got introduced to it, and I hope that I can be of service to people in Booger Stubs, whatever that capacity is, as we grow and get some licensing and start to put together some stuff. I call them tickets. You call them whatever you want. But really appreciate your time here today, and good luck with Good Find. We'll do the last time here. We'll put it up. Good Find, GOODFYND.com. Check them out. Check out Booger Stubs on Facebook. And we got a couple of great guests for the rest of this week. So tune in tomorrow for another episode of the Wolff Den. And have a good night, everyone.
Thanks for having me on.